I've been kicked out of my near every bar around. I've been locked up for driving 120 through town. I've been shot at and cut with a knife, messing around with another man's wife. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Threw my boss out the window and got fired from my last job. Hot wired a city truck and turned it over in the mayor's yard. Beat my brother-in-law half to death. Lost $20 on his football bet. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Good old boys, we're all the same. Ain't no way we'll ever change. Ain't no harm by the things we do or the trouble that we get into. Other than a wild hair once in a while, we can't help it, it's just our style. Good old boys.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Hey, your mic is hot over there, Commander. Come on, man.
Commander, look, hey, I got to do this. You know what? Hey, watch this. First show is in session. How about that? How about that gavel? How about that House used Texas State of Representatives gavel?
Scared the dog.
Good. The dog needs to be scared. Come lay down, Riker. It's okay.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show. Ash Brent with you here on a Monday morning. Judge Posey, first one in. This is now like
on a Monday.
He's been first one in. I think he thought you weren't going to be here again because the whole
hopeful.
time you were gone.
He was hopeful.
First one in.
Yeah. He's got insomnia, and he's like, hey, maybe it's just Ash again. That was a great program.
And I ran into him like 3 times while you were gone, and he gave me a big hug and said, God, glad Brent's not there.
You think he's stalking you? You think he's tracking you down? He's got Life 360 on your phone, knows where you're at. He's a judge. He's got connections.
Yeah, he does.
The Wade and Carter Weather brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerland Feed.
He didn't say that, but I could sense it.
You could sense it. You could just feel. No, the judge and I have a special friendship. It's okay. I'm confident in my relationship with the judge. 67 degrees in Victoria under partly cloudy skies, heading to a high today of only 80. Now that's interesting because when I got up, the first thing I did was check the weather, and it said 66 to 81.
Yeah.
Now it's 67 to 80. But here's the key thing to know, folks, and it's not necessarily great news. Starting at noon today, there's only a 35% chance at noon, okay? But starting at noon today, all day tomorrow, all day Wednesday, all day Thursday, the lowest chance of rain is 60%.
They're not calling for a lot of rain, though.
Not a lot of rain,
drizzly.
but just constant, welcome to Seattle. Yeah. Solid point.
Scott Tomko, good morning. Ryan Hopping, there's your podium this morning. Rena Scherer just missing out. Mark Kurtz, Bobby Leister, Amanda King, Wendy Hughes Garcia, Stuart Martin, good morning. Linda Chris, Justin Glass, Lisa Poole, Scott Snow checking in. Randy Langston, Scott Tomko, Monty Howard, Scott Tomko, Jets and Stars in round 2. I'm going to tell you what, folks, if you did not watch, and probably most of you didn't, I know Scott Tomko did.
Hockey.
Yeah, mow the grass today, Randy. I'm going to jump into the hockey.
Definitely mow the grass today early before lunch.
Yeah. Because Saturday night's Dallas Stars game 7 against Colorado.
Was it great hockey?
And last night's Winnipeg St. Louis game 7. I'm not going to say it was great hockey, but Dallas was outplayed for 2 periods and a bit on Saturday night. And Mikko Rantanen said, you know what? Screw this. I'm changing this outcome. Our season is not ending tonight.
Mikko
Rantanen. Former Colorado Avalanche
sounds like
player.
something you would take for psiasis. What do you take? I take Rantanen.
He's very
right. It's just for my
keeps my skin from flaking.
My moderate to severe Crohn's disease. Who determines that? If I've got Crohn's disease at all, it's severe.
It pretty much is.
Okay.
Yeah. So Rantanen decides to score a hat trick in the 3rd period with the Stars down 2-0. And assist on the other Stars goal, and the Stars score 4 in the 3rd to win it.
Score 4 in the 3rd? In the last half of the third, it sounds like.
Yeah, more or less late. And then last night, Winnipeg outplayed by St. Louis the entire game until the final 3 minutes. And Winnipeg scores 2 goals in the final 3 minutes, including one with 1.6 seconds left.
So basically what you're telling me is hockey is becoming the NBA.
And then they win it in double overtime.
The rest of it is just the ice capades. There's no reason to tune in until late in the third. Because for the first 2.5 periods, it's like watching the NBA back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Yeah, but they're still hitting and things that, it's still better than the NBA. Speaking about those medications, hey, you ever think about, not that we have these issues and it's fortunate for us, but there was a Monostat 7. It was for female issues. And it was. You can use that on your chickens too, by the way. Well, I'd rather use Monostat 7 on a chicken. I want Monostat right now. So they've got Monostat right now. What lady goes, no, I'll just take that itch for 6 more days. I'm going to use the Monostat 7 because it's proven. I think they're Monostat 5, don't they too? I don't know. I think there's Monostat right now if you play your cards right. I mean, wouldn't Stat be now? Stat would work for me. Thought about you this weekend. I hadn't shared this with you, mostly because I've, avoided you. But I wanted you to know that Donnie and I, she was so good. I came in from being out of state, and she goes, "I've got the bags packed." Territory. I was not even in the country, and she said, "I've got the bags packed. Let's go." And we ended up in Rockport, which is, by the way, I know there's a lot of folks here that have an affinity for Port O'Connor, and that's great. But Rockport is just a totally different vibe. Yeah. Rockport is like, you feel like you're a world away. And I, whereas in Port O'Connor, I just feel dirty. But I go to a place there, and Dawn and I are visiting and having a snack, and there's a guy sitting next to Dawn from Calgary. Really? And I just, immediately went into all my Canada shtick. I was like, how you doing today, eh? And just started busting on him about, you happy with Carney? He goes, oh, Carney's a pud. And it was just like talking to you. He had a crazy menopausal wife. He was so happy that not that applies to you, but he was so anymore, but he was so happy to be down here, and he worked for an oil company. Okay. And he goes, I work, he goes, it was supposed to be like 14 on, 14 off, but he goes, because I'm so far from home, I would stay down here like 6 months at a time. And that's all he's allowed. Then he goes back home because he's not here illegally. Right, absolutely. And I'm going to tell you folks something else. I was in DC, and several of my Uber drivers were from, 3 of them to be specific, were from Ethiopia. They were the most patriotic, the most gracious. So this one guy told me, I came here legally. Yep. I earned my visa. I mean, he was preaching to me. I earned my visa. I go, how long have you been here? He goes, 40 years. I said, do you like it? He goes, I love it. He goes, I'm on an automatic. Apparently there's a automatic renewal where he's like a permanent resident, but he's not a citizen. And he said, I love the United States. He goes, I love it here. And DC is, take it for what it's worth. My observation, I was there last under Biden. And there, it's a different vibe in the city. I'm just telling you the truth. That place is buzzing. People are hopping around from place to place. The city is spotlessly clean. People are picking up the trash. I'm not kidding you. There's a different vibe when he's in Wendy Hughes Garcia. Monostat Monday brought to you by Wagon. Get rid of that pesky itch. Yeah. I got rid of it last week. It's back. There you go. You got to get to my left. Need Monostat 14. Yeah, I agree. I've had the same experience talking with Uber drivers and cab drivers in my travels, and they are the most patriotic folks. A lot of them from Africa, Somalia, and places like that. But they love this country. They love the hard work, and they all hate the illegals that are giving them a bad name, right? Because they get lumped into that. No, that's true. They get lumped. By the way, enough about Ash. If you're glad that I'm back, just drop me like some love in the comments. That's what I need. Gratuitous seeking of attention. I noticed that while I was gone, you guys, did you have guests while I was gone?
Oh yeah, we were swamped.
Yeah, because I'm
They
just
swam.
wondering about. It looks like the camera shot has been tightened up a little
It is
bit,
tightened up.
and I don't understand it. I'm not opposed to it. I look fantastic, but I even shaved this morning.
We had too much headroom with max headroom.
Max headroom.
Yeah. So decided to get rid of the headroom.
Look, when you're gone, we just take care of business, and we the studio got moved around.
I see
we
what got
changed
moved
some
around.
other stuff. Look, I know where my corner is.
You guys can't believe this. When this whole
Nobody puts
experiment-
baby in the corner, but we
That's right.
put Cody in the corner.
No, but I was going to say this experiment. When this whole blessing with Cody Bauman started.
Or curse.
Oh, look at that. Rena says Ash got phone calls too. Rena.
I almost
And
set a
she
record.
also
on-
didn't
I
say
almost
she
set
was-
a record.
She didn't say she was glad I was back either. But so
Thanks, Rena.
when this started, there was a folding card table that was facing the wall, and Cody sat with his back to us. And then we decided, let's turn it and we'll put that camera. We'll put this camera over there. There's Commander. Look up now. Oh, there you go. There it is. There. Look, he looks good. So we put Cody over there, and then we gave him a microphone. You remember that?
I
Let's
remember
just
that.
take this mic and put it over there. And then we actually turned it on. I mean, you can hear him at times. But since then, he's changed furniture. This is the third iteration of the furniture. And he's turned his desk now and has a more, I think, suitable and prominent position in the studio.
They give me nothing. I have to buy everything.
Yeah.
There's no hope. I even have
Yeah.
to bring my own drinks in.
We
It's
charge
very
him
sad.
I've thought about us getting a refrigerator. If anybody has a refrigerator they want to donate to the program, we'll paint your logo on it and stick it in our program. But I thought we could put a refrigerator up here and keep bottled water and
Oh, that'd be
and
nice.
things in it for our guests.
Nobody wants that. You just want that.
Yeah.
Zed Stewart says, I didn't realize you were gone.
Thanks, Ed. Thanks, brother. And that's how seamless the show is, and that's why I carry a big gavel. Walk quietly, carry a big gavel. They go through these things at the Capitol. Now this one is game used. It's been wrapped.
Yeah.
Do you think they
You can
break
see it's
them?
been-
No, they do break them.
It's pretty heavy.
and they get it out on the end, and it's bam, 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 and they're not messing around.
Not at all.
And I think they enjoy breaking. It's kind of like when a baseball manager gets kicked out of a game, it gets everybody's attention. And I'm not exaggerating. When they break it, he immediately literally throws that handle to the side and reaches down. There's a box under his podium, and he just pulls out another one. It's just like breaking a pencil. Thank you, Wendy Hughes
I'm
Garcia.
gonna look.
There's nothing official on it as far as
No,
any marking.
I'm looking for them. I hope these aren't made in China, but when you say they got a box in them because they don't last,
No, it could be, but it's
That's
wood.
what I'm
It's it's the real deal right there. I'm very proud of
Yeah.
that. Our own District 30 rep, Sheriff AJ Latterback, the Honorable, may have gotten that for us. I found it on the runner of the Raptor this morning.
yeah,
It's
I'm
true
glad.
story.
I'm glad you're back.
I'm glad to be
Did you
back.
get any chairs or anything like from the house as well?
No, I'm trying
Like
to.
you really could have upgraded us around here.
You can buy the furniture. Now, that's a little known fact. You can actually buy
I did not know.
the little desks that they use and the little chairs. I bet the chairs are $500-600 a piece.
Some
It's
White
like
House
staying at the
trinkets.
Marriott. You don't have to steal the robes. You can buy them now.
Yeah, what are they? Though? $100?
Yeah, something like that. It's probably not that bad a deal.
To make you guys feel better about Proposition A passed,
Should we take a break and then get into what happened with the city? Because I think the city's future looks
better.
better.
Yeah, start us off and I'll try to follow suit.
Palace Bingo, we haven't set the date yet. We need to do that. Do we know when? Third week? Do you want to go that Thursday?
You're the one making the call.
Do you want to go that Thursday before Memorial Day?
Sure. Don't forget this weekend, Mother's Day
What is?
coming up.
I don't have one of those anymore.
You
Passed 2
know
years
for a
ago.
fact that you've been offered and accepted to use mine.
I know.
There you go. Palace Bingo, where friends meet friends. We'll get that going. The Dollar Floor Store. Do you know that I saw a Dollar Floor Store in Rockport,
Yeah,
Texas?
they've got one there too.
Very nice. I was out on what they call the bypass. It's just a long straight road that I can recall being stacked 50 feet tall with refuse after Hurricane Harvey. Now it's all cleaned up. Rockport is just such a wonderful, wonderful community.
And they've got a dollar floor store in Bryan College Station where that's the mothership. And,
Absolutely.
Texas owned.
Texan.
Business
How about
Texan.
that? Texans always answer the bell. Thank you, Governor Abbott. You know, I love when we do spots and you get to go back and it's a beautiful thing to watch a sound engineer clean up. You'll say something and take a breath and he'll just take that breath right out of your comment. It just sounds fluid. When they do that to Governor Abbott, I'm like, can this guy not make one phrase that sounds good on the air, on everything? Texans always answer the bell. I'm like, what is that spliced garbage? Went services for all your electrical needs. One thing I noticed down at the coast, everybody that had been there a while, the homes of the Rockport area, they all had a Generac generator. And I'm not kidding you. Generac,
They've learned.
The fact that it can withstand the elements in Rockport, everything down there, I got rusty just standing there. You start to rust. And people had Generac generators up on wooden platforms off the ground. Get with Went for turnkey.
Yeah. And you know what's great? Because a lot of times you'll picture those old industrial generators that you can see all the parts. These have nice plastic cowls over them. They don't even look like
people landscape around them. That's what I'm saying. They're part of the house. Chesnick Furniture, Chesnick and Love, make your house a home. Chesnick, right here. Gavel worthy. Sorry, dog. It handles the gavel. This is American made hardwood. Buy today. Get it tonight. Chesnick saves you money. Reach out. That's catchy, isn't it?
That is.
Reach out to Chesnick. Chesnick and Love.
If only he would have used that.
Right? Brand us, Commander Cody. Find him on Facebook. Just say, hey, Wade and Carter sent me. I need some help. I need some help with my website. I need some help monetizing what's going on. I want to sell merchandise. Commander can help you set all of that up. Atzenhofer and Atzenhofer.com. Get by and see the new Chevy Corvette. There's 2 on the lot. One has electronic assisted front 4-wheel drive. I mean, it's 4-wheel drive, right? But it's
all-wheel drive.
But you don't plug the car in.
No.
It regenerates
with the braking.
And it is like something. There's a crazy number, like 1,000 horsepower. The car's ridiculously fast. Yeah. Randy Lakes says, that's funny. I sound like I have emphysema on recordings. Didn't know I breathed. That it is, I'll admit and make no mistake. And I've always said it. I'll say it until I die on the program, which is actually how I go. I can only.
I almost did it.
Ash, no, you were nowhere near death. I was kicking you, going, get up. You're going, I can't get up.
Every time I question our friendship, I just go back to that video and watch.
I was there. I was there for you. I was turning off the buttons. You question our friendship? Wow.
Actually, you said, we'll be back later. I think we have a problem.
I was like, hey, I knew there was not a doctor in the house. You know what I'm saying? But I find out that Ash, I recognize that Ash he's the radio guy, and I'm just the clown that comes along for the ride. I get my role, but it is interesting how I'll listen to Breitbart, and I'm listening to a big-time show. They have the same technical issues we do. If you listen to anybody long enough, I've had guys go, where's that? Where's clip 3? I don't have, and he's got a staff, where's clip 3? I can't find clip 3.
We don't have a staff.
Right.
And we don't have clip 3.
We've got maybe a staff infection over there in the corner, the commander.
Monostat Monday.
He sure does scratch a lot. I don't know what that's all about.
Allergies.
Yeah.
It's like my dog.
You're such a good.
So what do you think? The city apparently values community centers
more than they do schools.
Absolutely. At least in District 6. Because
I brought up, I've got the official stats here somewhere. I got to find them.
Mickey Costello wins. So he is your new Super District 7 or District 7 representative for VISD. Congrats, Mickey.
And it's worth noting that so Josh Moore got second, and Christian West actually, I guess, conceded, or he decided
Friday. Apparently he had a family emergency out of state, and it's basically going to take him away from Victoria for much of the next year. So he just figured now's the time to call
in the
quits.
Same breath that I tell you, if all of Christian West's votes would have gone to Josh Moore, Mickey Costello still would have won. He got over 50% of the votes. And hats off, tip of the cap to all 3 gentlemen for a race well run.
Yep.
It was never clean cut to me who was going to win. And at the same time, I can't imagine that anybody worked any harder than Mickey. He's the one that reached out to come back to the show. He was on the program, and he was not reluctant, but he was hesitant. And by the time he came back, he obviously had more confidence. And hats off to him for running a very fine campaign. And I said it before, I feel like the school district would have been getting a good representative no matter which gentleman won.
Yep.
And I think that's a tribute to Victoria and certainly a tribute to Mickey Costello for winning the race. Margaret Pruitt beats our friend Andy Rokovich.
Margaret didn't campaign.
A lick. And,
saw a few signs out. That was it.
And 1,100 votes total there. Bloomington, I ran into Commissioner
Danny Garcia
of Precinct 1, Danny Garcia, yesterday. And he said, we got Bloomington incorporated. And this was, you'll remember Tiki Vingler coming in and talking about that there was a small faction that wanted to incorporate a small percentage of Bloomington.
She's the reason we had to black out our windows. So
That's
that
right.
when she came on the show, she wasn't sniped.
And now the bigger, more accurate incorporation of Bloomington has been done. But they did so. They incorporated with no taxes. And I don't know, and somebody, maybe Judge Posey, I think that they have to do something once they incorporate. I don't know if they have to tax anybody, but they've got to do something. How are they going to provide? They acquire a responsibility for city services. How are they going to fund them? I don't know that. I don't know if you can have a city and still have a volunteer fire department. I don't know that.
With all the shell corporations they've got in there, they've got plenty of places to funnel money through.
No doubt.
And fund things.
Our buddy Dwayne Crocker, our neighbor Dwayne Crocker, receives easily, what is that?
80% of the vote.
Yeah, 2,700 out of 3,400 votes went to Dwayne Crocker. And then Proposition A passed roughly 2-1, 2308 to 1241. But make a note, folks. Make a note. There's probably 40,000 registered voters in Victoria proper.
The city.
52,000 in the county. So maybe it's 35,000. That's 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10 of you people went and voted. I know I did. Did you?
Yeah.
I know I did. So 1 out of 10 went and voted. I don't want to hear you whining about the community center. Shame on you. Shame on you if you didn't vote. And it's just the way it is. Nobody, your neighborhood could have swayed this vote the other way if they were against it, and they chose not to. I'm excited about it. I think that it's a buzz that the city has now. We talked about the vibe in DC. You get lulled in. Hats off to Jesus Garza. He's doing something. I lived through the Charmel Garrett depressing debacle.
Charles Windwahen.
Oh, so boring.
Denny Arnold.
Town sucked.
Didn't it? We nothing changed here.
Oh, but now you've got the downtown pavilion, and you've got a new justice center going in, which is sorely needed. Policemen don't complain. I'm telling you, I still stay in often contact with Robert Arredondo, who will just share with you. And he goes, it's a mess. He goes, you ought to see our facilities.
Oh yeah, they needed it, but boy, what was it?
It's almost $60 million.
Yeah,
that's
under
a lot of
budget,
money.
but boy, I could have done something to recruit and retain.
Yeah. Well,
and I know different pots of money, blah, blah.
But I have talked to city council members who independently have told me they think this is going to make a difference. They think that it's going to bolster a sense of pride in public service. It may help us recruit officers to this area. I'm hopeful. I don't know. I don't know if you go to a school because of the gym or if you go to a school because of the coach. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I am looking forward to the improvements and the broadening of offerings available at the community center redo.
We'll see what it does. I'm curious to know what the timeline is. I mean, the concept looked pretty cool.
Yeah, now they've got to
now they've got to find the money or make sure all the money's there. My only hope is they don't have. I hope they can. I hope we get enough hotel rooms, rental cars, to actually create more income than they had projected. Because the worst thing that could happen for here, and knowing the way Victoria is, here's what we planned. but the revenue wasn't where we thought it was going to be, or costs have escalated. So our 30 million doesn't go as far as the 30 million we were going to spend. And now we really only have about 25 million. So we've got to cut some things out of this.
We're taking out the bathrooms.
And now it doesn't look as good, or it won't be able to do as much. So I hope the revenue from hotels and rental cars actually is more than what they projected, so that they don't have to make cutbacks in order to make the budget, because that will have everybody in this town complaining.
Well, at least 3,500 of them. While I was in DC, I can point out that I stayed at a hotel that was convenient to what I was doing. I had a group rate. I was part of a group, and it was still
Group rate. If that's
500.
That's official speak for
$25 a
giving
night.
you that chorizo.
To the group.
Yeah.
It was $525 a night.
Exactly.
And I can't tell you, honestly, I'm interested in this, and I can't tell you what the hotel taxes were. I can't.
You could look on your bill.
I could.
There's Torn Bales. Congratulations.
That's
Don and
right.
Natalie got married over the weekend. So the pics.
Stunning.
Yeah.
Great looking couple.
Yeah.
Just beautiful. She's a beautiful, beautiful lady. And Nick.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Torn and Melissa.
No, well, they're always. Are you kidding me?
Torn looks sharp in his
He
tux.
always looks sharp. Yep.
So disappointed in VISD District 6. 9 years of Margaret Pruitt, 9 years. I mean, Andy Rokovich came on Friday and pointed out that every school in that district was D or worse in their report card. I know you can't pin it on the trustee, but that's where you make a change symbolically that you aren't going to take it any longer. And apparently the residents in that district, they're happy with failing schools.
They don't care. I'm hopeful that Ms. Pruitt addresses, by the way, she's never been on the program. She's obviously invited, welcomed. I hope that she takes this opportunity to embrace some of Andy's accounting review. And by the way, I don't know what would happen. I've never called for it because I don't want to put anybody on the spot, and I'm not a hypocrite. I don't want to go. But can you imagine if we had Wade and Carter night at the school board and about 1,500 of us just descended on that school board?
You know what? We'll do it on the same night as bingo night, and I'll go to bingo. You can go to the school board.
Okay, I'll do it. Ryan Small, we've already talked about the Stars playing great. We said hockey's like the NBA now. You just tune in for the last 3 minutes, and you get a whole bunch of the game.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was thinking that when I brought that up before.
I know the answer to this question. What's that? I know the answer to this question before I ask it, but I can't help but do it. How are the NBA playoffs going?
I know. Speaking of Game 7,
I thought you would say, don't know. That's what I thought you would say.
Well, the only one I know is because I actually read a story this morning on it, because it might be somewhat relevant. The Rockets lost in Game 7 to Golden State and laid a dud. I mean, in like 20 points, 30 points. Really? It wasn't even close. Yeah.
Ricky King says he missed me at the Purple Heart Fishing Tournament. I missed being there. Something I've always really enjoyed supporting.
Melissa Hansen says we'll get shushed like at bingo.
It could happen
at the school board. Well, at least you get 3 minutes to speak at the school board.
Yes, you can walk over and we're dehydrated.
Do they have snacks? Can you buy like a pizza?
No, but I think they might give you a water.
Can you imagine if you just walked in there with a pizza and we all just stood in the back, or one of those cookie cakes? You ever eat a cookie cake?
I don't like them.
Don wouldn't let you have that.
Of course not.
Stephanie Miller, good morning from the YYC.
There you go.
Coffee this morning, B Small coffee. I was up late watching playoff hockey last night.
I went to bed at 8:30. I was worn out.
Couldn't wind down. I think went to double overtime. Almost ended up in the third overtime.
Beautiful. 28 after the hour. Let's take a quick break.
Yep, let's do it.
Bring you up to speed.
Allen's Wrecker Service.
Wow, 578-6300. Allen is your go-to tow-to. You give Allen a call, whether you're at Ladies, if you're on the side of the road and you're like, my battery's dead, I need a jump. Allen's can either get you started or they can load you up and take you to get a battery. They can help you out.
Veracruz Restaurant for all the greatest Mexican food
period
around. Jalisco style.
That's what they call it. To me, it's Tex-Mex. I didn't know that Jalisco meant Tex-Mex in Spanish.
It does.
I'll tell you something. You want to start a restaurant and make a killing, you just start a restaurant and cantina. You take a little a little bit of South Texas to Washington, D.C., you would make a killing.
Yeah.
There ain't no Mexican food in D.C.
There was a barbecue joint, but I think they had to close down because of all the zoning and restrictions.
Yeah. Paravita Wellness, get in and get healthy. You can't eat Mexican food every day. Paravita for all your healthy meals, high protein, low carb, whatever.
They have like a Cuban.
keto.
They have like a Cuban style chicken with black beans and cilantro rice. It's really good.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Wish I could have it.
Probably could.
Get into Paravita this
And
week.
the Vita Cafe is now open too.
Is it?
And I think they're going to start serving brunch soon on the weekends.
Well, it's fantastic. A little bit different take. It's really, really a nice place. They're going to make pizzas, and it's really,
Healthy.
really a nice place. USA Concrete Coating to change that, transform that drab slab. You can change your garage floor. They'll come in, they'll clean it deeply, get all the oil off of it, seal all the cracks, put down a tough as nails polyurethane coat that won't crack, stick, peel, or fade. You'll be thrilled with the lifetime results of USA Concrete Coatings. The chopping block this week, I know Ash is already in there. They've got the food truck out front. Oh, what do they got going?
I grabbed, look at that, marinated inside skirt steak. So that's
Wow.
perfect for fajitas.
$12.99 a pound. That's cheaper
They
than
still
buying
got
it
the
at
$7
H-E-B.
baseball sirloins. Those are bigger than baseball.
Yeah, they are. They're
Probably more softball size.
It's more than half a pound of sirloin, and it's just really good. Cooks very quickly on a griddle or in a cast iron skillet or on the pit. Picanha, $10.99 a pound. That's just wonderful.
I grabbed one of those on the weekend, the Angus ribeye, $15.99 a pound.
looks great.
It was right about a pound, and it was marbled perfectly, and it was so good.
Did you make it last 3 meals, or did you just suck
Oh,
it
no,
all
I
down?
devoured it in one sitting. Steak and me are good friends.
Well, you're Canadian, so Cody. The problem is what Ash has to face, and he faces it. Oh well, that is
Medium rare. Mushrooms and jalapeno poppers.
that you also bought at the chopping block.
So very good.
What Ash does, you have to, like, I could get a pound ribeye now, and I could honestly make 2 meals out of it, right? But Ash is going to have 3 bottles of Cabernet Sauvignon. So as a result, you keep nibbling.
Well, you got to soak it up.
You keep nibbling. Well, if he didn't eat the entire steak, he might not wake up the next day.
Exactly.
I can't do wine anymore. If I mean very little wine, and I guess it's
You get
those
giddy.
tannins. No. I'm always giddy. It's just that I get the worst headaches.
Yeah.
If I drink wine. Yeah. He's not just Canadian, Stephanie Miller points out. He's Albertan, which obviously accelerates the drinking curve.
Absolutely.
I want to be a
And the
cowboy.
steak eating.
Yeah. Everybody. Yeah. They eat beef and they drill baby drill.
Alberta
up there.
beef. Texas beef is a close second, but Alberta beef's the best.
What has your president done lately? Not Carney. Your president, not your prime minister, your president. What has he done lately that it has people bunched up?
Oh, his commencement speech at Alabama last week.
Well, he's in the deep South. I'm going to assume that even the student body population is probably predominantly Republican.
You know what he didn't do when he went to the deep South in Alabama?
What?
He didn't go and throw on no fake accent to fit in with the folks in Alabama.
Good job. I'm sure in Tuscaloosa, I'm sure he radiates New Yorker.
Yeah, that's pretty apparent.
I was
but-
going to tell you that I had a plan. I toured the White House. I went with Congressman Cloud's chief of staff, Mark Longoria, was gracious with his time and helped us. You have to kind of be semi-vetted. You know, I had to send them a month in advance. I sent to the White House some information, and then they gave me the okay to go. And going through with a large group of people, it wasn't something exclusive, but they had all been vetted by their congressman, basically. And to go through the White House, and I was prepared, and I'm proud of this for y'all as well, that had we seen the president, and you know the picture, the photo of the president going fight, and the blood.
Yep.
Well, there's a painting. I'll show you in a little while, but there's a painting near the stairwell where he comes down that is a painting of that.
Really?
Yeah, and somebody did it and sent it to him, and he put it up in the White House. And what an honor for that artist who did that.
Did the eyes feel like they were following you around the whole time?
No, that's the Mona Lisa.
Okay.
But I was going to tell you that I was prepared had I seen him, there's a security guard giving me the hook 'em horns. The group behind
Is he
me
from Texas?
Yeah, the guy had a Aggies hat on, and the guy goes, "I'm sorry, hook 'em horns." But had I seen the president, I was going to say, "Mr. President, hello from Michael Cloud, Greg Abbott, and AJ Louderback," and the president would have exactly known where we were from, and that's a plus. Michael is meeting, Congressman Cloud is meeting this morning with the president and Elon Musk, and I have no idea what the agenda entails, but I know that he was preparing for that over the weekend. I think that's fascinating. I think it's a real tribute. So there's that picture. Cool. And then this is the stairwell.
I think I've seen that picture. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the stairwell where he comes down the stairs.
That's cool.
So beautiful tour. If you're ever in DC, I highly recommend it. The other place I like is the it's not the Library of Congress, maybe Library of Congress, the National Archives. No, Library of Congress, that's what it is. They have thousands, 10,000s of like half-inch mosaic tiles that they've used to adorn the ceiling and stuff. Yeah. And they tell you how that this building, one thing about Washington, when you find a column, it's not decorative. It's solid. And they talked about
for a reason.
They talked about the stone being mined in Virginia and that it was craftsmen hand carved these columns. It would cost irreplaceable amounts to rebuild the buildings in DC. And I drove an Uber past the Department of Labor, and it's 50 times the size of Victoria Mall. I'm like, how many people do you need at the Department of Labor? Really? Big government gives me no confidence, you know? So much of a building. Tell me you've got news to talk about.
Well, no, we were going to start on President Trump's speech to the graduates in Alabama. And I mean, listen to some things. I mean, you know, it started off like a Trump rally. I'm not going to lie. It was very much, you know, talking about the wins and what he'd done. But listen to this. Listen to some of the advice. You have to find something that you love and you have to follow your own instincts. Listen to your parents. They're very wise, but you have to follow your instincts and your heart, your soul, and you want to be the very, very best you can be. Somehow somebody on the left's going to have problems with that message.
But I do like that he said, treat every day like a home game against Auburn. Fight like hell and enjoy doing it.
Absolutely, because that's what you got to do.
About that.
He says if you're going to do something, you might as well think big because it's just as tough. You can think small. I know a lot of people, they thought small. They're very smart. But he's right. The struggle and the sacrifice is the same whether you're going for it all or you're going for just a small slice of it.
It's just as hard to solve a small problem as a big problem, he says. And it's just as much energy and everything else, except the result is going to be a smaller one. So love what you do, but think big if it's possible.
Yeah. It's great advice. Great advice. He says, never ever stop. Talked about Gary Player, the South African golfer. Wasn't a big man. One of the best, 168 golf tournaments.
Yep.
That he won. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Still playing.
Yeah.
What did he say right there? Go back one. The harder I work, the luckier I get. And I think of that. The harder I work, the luckier I get. So you really have to work hard. You're going to be successful because you have the talent to get into this school. It's not easy to get through. It's even more difficult.
You know, it's interesting because all the hockey coaches and that I've ever had and listened to, that's what they said. You're only as lucky as the hard work you put in.
Yep.
He says, don't lose your momentum. You want to keep on. You have to know when you're losing it. So maybe you stop and it's time to stop. And you've got to listen to that feedback and think through your plan very carefully and keep moving fast. Momentum is very important. He says, an important word. So just great stuff that he told. Yeah. And how awesome would that be to have the sitting president? And I don't care what party.
No, any
to
president.
Be the school that a president picks to be to address you at commencement. That'd be pretty cool.
It would have been great to have Biden. He could have told you about corn pop. He could have. Yeah.
He says, have the courage to be an outsider. If you want to change the world, you have to have the courage to be an outsider. You have to take certain risks. You have to do things a little bit differently. I mean, he did it. This is a guy that 30 years ago, Hillary Clinton was telling the world it would be great if Donald Trump would be president. And
Now he is.
now he is, and she hates him. So
Very interesting.
what else did he say that might have the left in arms? He said women don't belong, or men don't belong in men's sports.
Why is that such a big statement?
I don't know.
You know?
I have no idea. He said, don't be angry.
And I think it's interesting
This is a key one because the left is furious with this guy.
but the left will say there's so few trans athletes, just let them compete. Well, no, because at Riley Gaines, every girl swimmer who worked tails off and benefited from Title IX, that benefited from the opportunities, all of a sudden, you know? Yeah, Brian Small says Air Force Academy doesn't quite feel that way. When Joe Biden was there, Air Force Academy did not give him any love.
Well, fair enough. But then again, he fell all over the stage, and yeah. Good point. Be small.
Good. Yeah,
That's why we
always
check in every once in a while.
Be small with a good point often. I don't know where he's been.
Did you see that? I think it was I saw a headline over the weekend that some trans male athlete cleaned up in the Texas Masters swimming championships over the weekend or something like that.
Good for him, right?
Yeah.
What a tool.
Why would the women even want to compete at that point?
No,
Won like 5 or 6 gold medals or something like that.
So as a grown man,
yeah,
decided to compete as a woman in amateur athletics, and some lady that's worked her fanny off, literally, gets nothing.
Yeah,
that just doesn't seem right to me.
Nope.
And he would not. I guarantee you, his winning scores would not have placed in the men's division.
I didn't look that deeply into it. I just saw the headline, and I'm not sure if it was an old headline because I think it's happened once before in this state. Maybe it's the same guy. I don't
Very
know.
un-Texan.
But
Texans only swim with men of the same sex. Oh, goodness. It's Monday.
It is Monday.
I'm glad to be
May
back.
the 4th was yesterday.
Yeah, May the 4th be with you. How did that go? Are you a Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Star Wars guy. Clearly I'm not.
No, you just pissed everybody off.
Clearly I'm not.
The show's over.
Yeah. Just wrap it up.
I love that one shirt that I've seen that has like a picture of Kirk and Spock, and underneath it says Star Wars.
Yeah. There's a website. It's literally called tshirthell.com. If you type into your Google search T-shirt hell, there's all these funny T-shirts. There's one that says it's got a picture of Kiss. It's obviously Kiss. They've got the makeup and they're doing all that. And underneath it says Led Zeppelin. It's so funny. It's because if you wear it, somebody's going to go, that's not Led Zeppelin.
Exactly. It's conversation starter.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Very, very funny stuff.
I did that one year at Hobby Lobby. I moved the Star Wars stuff. They had the Star Wars stuff and Star Trek stuff, and I switched the signs and said, put the Star Wars sign on the Star Trek display, and I'm sure it made people mad.
Monty Howard says there's Special Olympics, Senior Olympics. Why can't the trans folks be satisfied with their own? I thought he was trying to say the trans ought to swim in Special Olympics. But to me, they maybe should because they do have mental issues. We heard this morning coming in that some quick stats for you. In the 1950s, there were roughly 160 million Americans, and a little over 560,000 were housed in mental health facilities. About 1/2 of 1%, less than 1%, much less than 1%.
Yeah.
But now
he's doing my math.
Yeah, but now, well, if you had a 1.6 million, that would be 1%. So it's about 1/3 of 1%.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you've got 350 million people in the United States, and there's only 35,000 people total housed in mental health facilities.
Well, we got rid of our mental health facilities. Let's not forget that in the 90s.
If you double the population to go from 160 to say 350, you should probably, just by sheer math, fallout by 1950s standards, you would have 1 million, 2 million, 3 in a mental health facility. Where are those people? I'll tell you where
On
they
the
are.
streets.
They're on the streets. Or for those of you that say, oh, you got to Main Street these people, it's not fair to them. I'll tell you where those people are. Those people are in prisons,
not getting the help.
not getting the help they need, because nobody wanted to stereotype them. Nobody wanted to profile them. So we just let them run amok until they kill a bunch of people with a gun, or until they
shove someone into an oncoming subway train because they've been in the system, and they let out of the system, and then they're back in the system, and then they're out of the system, and then
100%. And that's where they are. And that's the disservice. The fear of labeling someone is the disservice that our nation currently does to our mentally ill and incapacitated population.
And not only that,
but there's no way there's only 35,000 mental health people in this country.
No, because there's more than that living on the streets. And then we're always told, it's mental health. That's why they're homeless.
Well, we got 50 right here in Victoria. You can drive by the Patty Dodson and see them protesting.
We got 3 sitting in this room.
Right.
I resemble that remark.
Punchlines are ours. Okay.
Did you say you resemble that remark?
I did, yep.
I'm taking over the punchlines.
There you go.
I'm turning off your microphone.
Our ratings are going in the toilet. Wade and Cody. Yeah.
2 on this show.
That's
Absolutely.
right. Thank you, Be Small. Be Small's got your back, Cody.
Yeah, he asked the question, can the Stars beat the Jets? I think so, yes.
The New York Jets, everybody else does. Winnipeg
Jets.
I knew it was Winnipeg.
I know you did. That's impressive.
I don't know much hockey.
You think the graduates at Alabama are going to be happy now that they got to start paying back their student loans today?
Very interesting. I've said it for years here. I don't understand. I get the romanticism of the folks that say the government ought to pay back the student loans. But it makes no sense to pay back your 10-year-old student loan while I'm still making the exact same type of student loan today for next year's suffering person.
I'm curious as to see what these people did with the money that they didn't have to pay back their student loans with for since COVID. What they've done with that money.
Oh,
did they save any of it to buy the house they say they couldn't afford because their student loan payments were too high?
No, they didn't save it.
I'd be willing to bet 80% of them added to the consumer revolving credit card debt.
No doubt.
In some form or fashion, or just spent all the money and didn't save anything so they can continue to claim that they're the victim of today's society.
Well, if you really want to make a difference in this country, you go back and you regulate credit cards. And I'll give you a number to say it's the prime rate plus 10%. There's credit cards now, 29.8%. I mean, if you put $1,000 on that card and they say, oh, send us $30, send us $30, you will literally never get out of debt if you never use the card again. Because at 29%, they're dinging you for more than you can make your payment, and the next month your bill went up and your total went up and you haven't even used the card.
Yeah.
And then I'll be honest, I speak from experience on that. I've been there. Now I have an income stream that sometimes goes boop. And when it goes boop, I pay off all the cards. But in the meantime, I can't even imagine the GDP of some small countries has been spent on interest at the Carter House. No doubt about it.
Yeah. No,
speaking of destinations, I had a guy tell me the other day that Puerto Rico was a beautiful, beautiful place to go. And I thought, seems to me that every year they get hammered by a hurricane, right? But he said, no.
Randy Gutenberger, when he was on the show,
the water is just so beautiful.
Yeah. No, I've heard it's a beautiful country. Need to go.
Yeah, you'd be the tallest guy there.
Might be.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. What else we got? You were going to tell me something about Warren Buffett. How does he retire? He's a billionaire.
That's why he's also 90-some years old. They're
retiring or is that dying?
I mean, I guess he was doing what he loved, but you never heard. I mean, he always lived in the same. He's lived in the same house in Omaha since the 50s, and he's had. Nobody knows. There's speculation he had like a bunker put in the basement and like safe room and all this stuff. He's got security.
He owns everything like that. Berkshire Hathaway. Doesn't he basically own?
Well, the trains that run through here. Yeah. They're his.
I thought he owned everything. Really. I
He just wanted a giant. He just wanted to play a train set as a kid.
Yeah.
And his parents never got him one,
So
so
he
he
went
just
and bought
grew
it.
up and bought one.
The money has always been so ridiculously stupid. Now I'm not saying he's a supporter of President Trump.
And I don't think his kids are as sharp as he is.
No, but they don't have to be. What's he
No.
worth? $100 billion. Or
I think Berkshire Hathaway itself is worth 1.2 billion or something crazy like that, if not even more.
Oh, more than that.
Yeah. Here's the thing with him. Like, he's shunned the spotlight for most of it, and he's had some dogs. He's not always won every stock he's bought. He's won more than he's lost, that's for sure. But you never heard of him going on lavish vacations.
Epstein's Island? Probably not.
No, I don't think so. Getting on a yacht somewhere.
No, he's just a conservative guy.
Yeah.
He plays the game. Of
Although
business.
I think politically, I think he spins to the left.
He's left of us, but he did make the comment in support of Donald Trump or in support of the American economy when Trump was getting accused recently of tanking the stock market. Buffett came out and said, some folks just don't have the mental acuity or the stomach for owning stocks. They need an investment vehicle. They need to just send their money to somebody and let them grow it.
Yeah, and what the S&P 500 do? Like the longest winning streak in over 22 years.
Yeah, no, it's all going to come back around. No doubt about it. The economy is going to come back because it has to come back. It's going to.
B. Small says Warren's brother, Mr. Gaddy's Buffett was his favorite of his.
Yeah, no doubt.
He made it big, just not quite as big.
We've got a Mr. Gaddy's here now.
Yeah, we do.
You been?
I've not.
I have. Went for a birthday party.
I thought his brother Jimmy was a pretty good singer.
Jimmy Buffett. Yeah. Although not a billionaire, still had more money than Wade and Carter.
Made more money off Margaritaville and
Wow.
licensing that out. Is it true he didn't write that song? I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh,
He's a
let's
good
see.
dude. Jimmy
No, he
Buffett
is.
passed. Anybody else pass away while I was gone?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did they elect a new pope?
Not yet. I
No.
believe the conclave begins.
Do they elect or select?
The Cardinals elect.
Okay.
Or no, is it the Cardinals elect or the bishops elect?
Cardinals.
Thank you.
Adam Sugar with a solid point on a Monday. No need to be Warren rich. Jimmy had way more fun. I
Oh,
guarantee
Jimmy had
it.
way more fun.
Yep.
Melissa Hansen says, I got a finance guy managing their inheritance. And when I look at the stocks, it makes your stomach turn.
All you have to do is wait.
Just wait, Melissa.
All you
They'll
have to
be
do
there.
is wait.
Yeah. Don't panic. Although if you have any extra money, now's the time to buy because the stocks are down.
Absolutely.
There you go. Thank you, Matt Boucher. Conclave starts May 7th. I couldn't remember if it was today, the 5th or the 7th for some reason stuck in my mind, but it's obviously the 7th. How about those Astros?
I can't.
How do
even
you
tell
go into Chicago and lose 2 or 3 to the worst team in the major leagues?
I don't know, but hats off to the Chicago White Sox for wearing the throwback pinstripe Chicago Bulls jerseys. That was awesome looking.
That's where City connects, isn't it?
Oh, they were wearing black pants and a Chicago Bulls red with black pinstripe jersey. They looked like $10 billion. It was fantastic. Lance McCullers Jr. pitches yesterday. I don't think he was unserviceable.
4 strikeouts, 3 walks, no runs. Didn't give up. Well, I think he gave up 3. Did he give up 3 runs? No, he didn't give up any runs.
No.
They scored late.
In fact,
They
he had the
scored-
bases loaded at one point and pitched around
Yeah.
it. He was the Astros were up 2-0, I think, when he left.
They ended up losing 5-4 in a game that was called because of rain in the 7th.
We were going to come back and get them.
Too bad we didn't.
Too bad we didn't. Speaking of
Those
not
games
coming
shouldn't have
back,
been close. You're in Chicago against the worst team in the major leagues, and you dropped 2 of 3.
the fighting Texas Aggies clearly took something out of the Texas Longhorns last week. That I'm sure the players really wanted that series for Coach Schlossnagle, but the Longhorns
they
went
did
to
not come
Arkansas
up
and
this
just got smoked. And what do you make about people are saying, well, that's the first time you've played on the road against a top 10 team, blah, blah, blah. Arkansas is just good. And I don't put any weight at all on home field advantage until you're in the major leagues playing in the playoffs. Baseball is baseball. You look at most teams; they play about the same on the. If they're a 500 team, they're 500 on the road as well.
Yeah.
The Longhorns just went up and got smoked by Arkansas. Aside from not hitting well, pitching well, or playing great defense, the Longhorns looked great. I imagine they very well may still be number one in the country this week. The Aggies went to somewhere, Commander, Texas A&M baseball, and they took a series from that,
wherever they took
from that place. They traveled.
I watched a little bit of Vandy in Alabama yesterday.
I think they traveled. Who the Aggies play this week? You can always go to SEC standings or.
There you go. Monty Howard says he's a closet piggy, even though he went to UT.
Yeah, it's hard.
Grew up in Arkansas.
Arkansas is great baseball. They've always had a great baseball program.
I believe it was LSU.
There
I'm
you go.
looking at
Brian
their
Small
schedules.
says it was LSU and College Station, and the Aggies took 2 of 3, I believe, from them.
You sent me an interesting story over the weekend that the Antarctic ice cap sheet.
Don't tell these people that. Don't tell them. We're in the middle of climate change.
Actually gained mass?
Gained mass for the first time in decades. It's been documented by the scientists. You must
So,
follow the science.
If you go underneath the Antarctic, you get to the Arctic with that, you think?
Yeah.
You think the Arctic also grew mass?
Grew mass. More ice now than the last time it was measured for the first time in decades that they've determined that's.
Yeah, listen to this from Fox News. A surprising shift is underway at the bottom of the world after decades of contributing to rising sea levels. Yeah, because the world, Martha's Vineyard is underwater now because of the rising sea levels.
B. Small says he's grown mass, but it's a dense.
Yeah.
Your BMI is up.
Breast cancer mass. It's all B Small's grown.
Right.
Didn't want to go there.
Fat tissue.
Antarctica's massive ice sheet has started growing again, at least for now. They got to put the qualifier in there. For now, because you never know when this climate change thing is going to come.
When you report those pesky facts, sometimes it really upsets people.
And in fact, the Antarctic ice sheet experienced a record-breaking mass gain.
Stop it. Monty Howard asked, are we back to global cooling?
We might be.
It's all climate change now. And any climate change is the buzz phrase. Any climate change is bad.
Yeah. And that growth was enough to offset the 0.3 millimeters a year that the ocean was rising.
Oh, 0.3 millimeters. So 1,000th of a meter and 1/3 of that is how much. Now, how do you measure that at any given moment? The tides are always moving.
Yardstick.
Yeah, right. The tides are always in constant flux. How are you going to decide that it really went up? If for 3 years it would go up 1 millimeter, you need a big yardstick. Yeah. Adam Sugar says that's why Lake Travis, Medina, and Canyon Lake are all dry because the Antarctic stole the water.
Well, yeah. It's all evaporating here and then going down there
and dropping
on the jet
off
stream
and freezing.
You don't need a big yardstick.
No,
it's only 0.3 millimeters.
You can just use a ruler.
Yeah, that's right.
A 12-inch ruler, and you flip it to the other side where it's got the little metric on it. Yeah.
So is that what Canada on the back of my ruler means?
Yes.
Yeah.
So one side's U.S.
and made in Canada.
And I used to have those wooden rulers when I was a kid. And now, knowing what I know now, it's all just it's all only good for relative measurement because the lines on the thing are more than 1/3 of a millimeter.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's like a hair. It went up a hair's width. Junior Simple says you cut the ice, then measure your ice hole. There you have it.
Fair enough.
Junior.
Can we turn Junior's mic off?
Not quite suitable for Main Street radio, but very enjoyable nonetheless.
Had people ask me what his real name was over the weekend.
Were they wearing badges?
No, they were trying to get restraining orders.
What do you got there? Anything worth talking about?
Oh, I don't know.
We've got a minute left.
I hadn't seen this one.
CNN 5 things.
Apparently, Lady Gaga was in concert over the weekend in Rio de Janeiro, and
at the Copacabana, at the Copacabana Beach.
Free performance.
Wow, 2.1 million concert goers.
But that's just everybody on the beach. Just people miles away.
2.1 million. You throw something free, they'll come.
couple of people tried to get pretended to be fans of Lady Gaga and tried to recruit teens into their shenanigans using improvised explosive and Molotov cocktails. They were going to throw them into people at the concert. Apparently, the alleged ringleader of the group arrested for illegal possession of a firearm and possession of child pornography. Imagine that.
But you know what? You're always going to have one bad apple for sure out of 2.1 million people. I mean, you got to,
My bad apple might be a little bit sugarcoating somebody who's brought Molotov cocktails and improvised explosive devices to a concert.
I loved Lady Gaga in A Star Is Born with Bradley Cooper. I do not align with any of her political views, and I'm not a fan of hers. She's got a lot of talent, but I'm not a fan. But that being said, I don't fault her for any of this, and I think it's terrible that somebody would do something like that.
Speaking of somebody who's kind of made themselves from, she was all about the attention when she first came on the scene, and now she kind of tries to shun it a little bit. But her talent obviously overshadows.
No doubt. President Trump talking about maybe opening up Alcatraz.
Wants to rebuild and reopen it.
Very interesting. The philosophy at Alcatraz, you took the people there that couldn't assimilate to normal prisons. You took the people there that were high escape risks. And I heard this morning,
dangerous felons.
Yeah, well, it's where Babyface Nelson was. It's where Al Capone was. But you had 4 rights at Alcatraz: food, clothing, shelter, and healthcare. Everything else, library, physical activity, being outside your cell, writing a letter home, receiving mail, all of those were privileges to be earned. If you didn't act right, you could sit in your cell all day.
Flying off the island.
Yeah.
Swimming off the island.
Well, I mean, they said that a couple of dozen, they think, tried to escape, and many were shot, many were captured.
I saw a story over the weekend. I didn't get a chance to read it because it was a fairly busy weekend, but they've done some drone stuff around Alcatraz, and they found some new, I guess, evidence of escape attempts and things like that.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty. I gotta find it. It's pretty cool.
Folks, we've reached the top of the hour, and I tell you what, it flies by. Thank you for sharing it with us and sharing your time with us. I hope we're still interesting, even with me here. Have a great day. Know that we love you. If Wade and Carter can help you, reach out. And congrats to all the winners and all the competitors in the election system. God bless you all. We'll see you manana.
Bye, folks.